with the Kestrel instead. And Kestrel first pick is something that we've seen EA prioritize quite a bit just because of how strong she is in lane. Not only that, against Tempo Storm, that's also a takeaway from Hyde.
Yeah, making sure Hyde doesn't get that comfort pick. Blackfeather is available if Tempo Storm want to go with that for their first selection. Incredibly strong pick that has gotten through. They are going to snag that one for themselves, so it just makes sense to go for the Blackfeather if he's available for you, especially on B side. And now you got to expect the captains to start to get focused here in terms of the bans. You know, the Arden, the Grace, or maybe the Kashka, I guess. And they want to take that away from T-Tigers. Makes a lot of sense to remove one of T-Tiger's most powerful picks, but again, now the captain pool is just going to be wide open.
Right, I mean, Kashka is definitely not a hero you want to give up to T-Tiger, especially how effectively Tribe have been focusing her in draft to give him that dominant jungle matchup. Now, like you said, the captains are still open. Churnwalker is still open. It's a hero that we've seen in NA from TSM. We saw earlier in Europe, so it's definitely a pick that teams are trying to practice, trying to catch up to. So we're going to be able to see in a little bit whether one of these teams pick it up or not.
It's interesting how little both of these teams focus on the captains. In Europe and generally across 2.9, captains have still been a high priority when it comes to bans and things. But we're already well over halfway through the draft and not a single captain has even been looked at.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just because of the way these teams play. You know both of their captains are going to be playing exceptionally well. Playboy Afro has stepped up in a big way last season playing for the Hollywood Hammers, and now coming on to Tempo Storm, you expect nothing less, but both of these teams kind of revolve around their jungles and their carries. So trying to make sure that they have those comfort picks, they have those strengths, and when you don't ban away any of the captains, there's plenty of them available, so you kind of get your pick of the litter here. Lyra is the choice for Tribe. You have to assume Tempo Storm is going to end up with the Arden on their side, just because it makes the most sense that you grab the Arden if Lyra is already gone. Sometimes you even take the Arden before even looking at the Lyra, so it's not a situation where either of these teams are going to be upset with their captain pick.
I'm wondering if Tribe going to go for a Cruel here just because Tempo Storm has already secured that Reza pick, which we talked about. Hyde plays it really well, is strong in 2.9, but it's not the very strongest. Tribe have already banned Alpha also, so it's not available for them as an option. They go for the Ozo instead. That's a very interesting pick. We've been seeing a lot more of it, and it's for good reasons. It has a lot of durability on the front line, it brings a lot of AoE damage, and it gains so much sustain. Something that people are overlooking is the fact that each hero has a healing flask, and Ozo gains a stronger barrier from that healing flask as well as more healing. So in general, this patch is working very well with him, especially with the Aftershock buffs.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
And another great thing about Ozo is he's so strong into burst, and Reza is about burst. He likes to go in and just kind of catch you off guard with the amount of damage he can do. And if you are an Ozo, you either just heal it up immediately or have that fortified health from the Acro Bounces to survive it. The Lance pickup for Tempo Storm, not going for the Arden, instead going for this Lance. You have to figure that this is mostly picked up just to have a way to try and stop Ozo from bouncing around these fights.
Right, I mean, Lance actually works really well against Ozo just because of the Kithian wall to push him away. I gotta say, though, it's really exciting to have Ozo become meta finally here in 2.9.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like Ozo and Rona kind of fulfill that same niche. One of them in the jungle pick, one of them in the lane pick, of being able to be that bruiser, get in these brawls, especially when you're against a double melee composition like we're going to see coming through here. I'm excited to see how this Lance plays out as well. This is the first Lance we're going to be seeing today. Feels like an incredibly strong captain on the patch, though.
Yeah, it's a really strong captain just because of how strong his initiations is as well with the CC that you're able to lock down multiple targets. So very interesting to see how Tempo are going to utilize him.
Yeah, I'd love to see it going into that Kestrel as well. That little mini game of dodging the Impale. It's time to get on into our North American games. Hashtag Vainglory 8. Let us know whether you want Tribe to take this one or if you think Tempo have got what it takes. But it's time to pass it over to our casters and kick off our first quarterfinal here in the North American Vainglory 8.
Thanks, guys, for your wise words of wisdom. As always, my name is George, joined by Source. We're into Tribe versus Tempo Storm, game number 1. And I've got a feeling, Source, that Humanist has had a little something to say over the last couple of patches, because we're seeing an awful lot of Ozo now.
Yeah, I'm loving the new just amount of damage you can get out of an Ozo with all of the changes. And I decided I'd put a few hours into playing some Ozo to get a better sense of just how much damage you can do, and it's devastating. Hyde is going to need to be very careful when he has to deal with all of that damage coming out.
It's pretty insane, but like they were mentioning on the desk, there's so much sustain on the Ozo right now, but Playboy Afro is going to be the guy to lock him down and to actually just make sure he cannot get on the back line of Gatsby, or at least Gatsby's going to be wanting to jump in there regardless. But Hyde on this Reza, let's discuss him really quick as well, because again, he's seen a lot of popularity too, and there hasn't been much priority on these captains, more on these high, powerful burst junglers like the Alpha as well, which we did see banned earlier also. Big Source is just sorting out his mic issues for the second, so just be me Celicasting for the time being. Doesn't like we do have Tribe rotating towards the lane, same with Gatsby and Playboy, but the range advantage for D'Anzio is going to be there for the time being. Playboy Afro does get a nice impale down to max green, but the sustain is there for the lane, and that's going to be the big problem, I think, for Gatsby and Playboy Afro. If they can't just continually poke this Lyra and Kestrel out, they're going to have a bit of an issue coming into the next couple of minutes, because D'Anzio is going to be able to punish them with his just ranged basic attacks and those glimmer shots as well.
Yeah, it should be massive damage coming out from D'Anzio, and I believe that I'm back and should be fully curable as we get deeper into this game. Sorry about that. T Tigers making his way into the lane.
What a Githian wall mid-air on the bouncing Ozo. It takes a lot of damage from the turret as well. It takes an impale. A little bit more sustain though on the side of Tribe, so he should be able to heal that one up no problem. But Hyde is making a rotation here. D'Anzio actually going fairly low, sitting on that sigil. There's the Acrobat straight onto Playboy Afro, jumps straight to the back line of Hyde. Does get out of there very quickly with the boots active, so we'll be surviving for the time being. But that was Tempo taking advantage there of Tribe just getting a risky situation in those corridors.
Yeah, the side of Tribe, they're going to be able to at least box the members of Tempo in, assuming that D'Anzio is dishing out as much damage as he can. I'm a little concerned. Oh, wait, we have a little bit of fight in the jungle.
Hyde's in a little bit of trouble. That's a double acro bounce. He should just be as good as dead. T Tigers is going to chase him down. Troublemaker over the wall, though, is going to go for the recall. I spoke too soon, Source. Tribe's got the fancy footwork, and we'll be able to just get back to base.
Yeah, some good play coming out from Hyde, so for the moment he'll survive. It was a little aggressive for him to be that deep into the enemy jungle, especially after how much pressure the side of Tribe was putting onto them, but now T Tigers looking for a little bit of revenge, should push up a little bit further into the jungle, and now that D'Anzio is back to lane, the members of Temple need to be careful for that glimmer shot damage coming through.
Yeah, they are going to be able to chunk that turret out a fair bit if they are left alone for the time being, but D'Anzio max green. They are going to be hot on their tail. Just make sure they rotate back to lane ASAP. Well, it's Tribe's game plan here, though, because they've got this Kestrel that can just do massive damage to turrets when she does get on top of them. But there's just so much dive potential from Tempo that it's going to be fairly scary. Hyde's almost online, level 6, with that Netherform detonator. So that's going to be something to look out for. And then you've got Gatsby as well with the Rose Offensive. That's also going to be something that D'Anzio has to just watch out for. And speaking of watching out, Playboy Afro did go a little bit aggressive. It just takes a couple of glimmer shots. In fact, one too many, as D'Anzio just wipes him off the face to fold, and that'll just leave Gatsby wondering what happened to his captain.
Yeah, D'Anzio was pushing up, getting a little bit of that value onto the turret, and I mean, just a little bit over-aggressive by Playboy Afro. Hyde has actually gone for the buildings of a Storm Crown, so he's not going to be going straight into that Aftershock that we've seen become very common on Reza builds. So he's looking for a little bit more objective control, giving him just a little bit of a personal faster clear. Just the amount of damage that Reza does in the jungle, at least to the camps, is fairly slow. And since Playboy Afro has been up in the lane trying to protect Gatsby from D'Anzio, he's kind of been forced to change his item build slightly. This is going to put him a little bit further behind in terms of his damage output, and T Tigers already has the Aftershock, has just the initial boots, and is looking to go towards what should be his Broken Myth as his second item. So there's much bigger burst coming up from T Tigers, but Hyde is a little bit better in terms of sustained initiation on the Gatsby.
Gatsby is in the wrong place, wrong time, Bangarang, and the Acrobats have hit. T Tigers flies across the lane, and Gatsby on the wrong side of the map just gets executed. T Tigers with the second kill on the board for Tribe.
Yeah, and that's the first one coming out from the Bangarang. So they've kind of gotten value off of that level 6 spike they got off the jungler. Now they're going to put more pressure onto this tower. It'll go down very quickly with those 300 damage Glimmer Strikes coming through. And Hyde, he can put a little bit of pressure on D'Anzio, but he's not really there to be able to execute him. Playboy Afro is low.
Yeah, so is Hyde. He's going to have to use the flask as well. In fact, both of them did. And Impale does get blocked up here. Dienzio still firing back with those glimmer shots. Gatsby has joined the fray, however. Doesn't have level 6, so no Rose offensive at the moment. T-Tigers is here on the sidelines. Only 10 seconds until his ultimate comes back online, but he doesn't need it. Already just annihilates Hyde. They do trade 1-for-1 as Dienzio fall as well. But Gatsby and Afro do have to use their boots in pairing. Run away from this one, but it doesn't seem to matter because T-Tigers going for the turret dive. Still taking a fair bit of damage. Going to have to be careful. Does Acro bounce out? But the Githia wall was good from Playboy Afro. Impale to get away as well, to get the distance. But Tribe, they find the delayed ace, and they'll get a lot of damage down to the turret as well.
I give so much credit to Maxstream for that play, just because he stepped up and got off that last auto attack right as T-Tigers was in the slight area where he can kind of avoid being hit by the turret, manages to get the value trade out, and that's going to be huge for the side of Tribe. And oh, Hyde, you are in a dangerous position.
Oh man, your turret's just gone down, buddy. 2 of your members are back to base. There's used that nether form to get over the wall, but you're going to run into Max Green. He's going to be able to stop your recall for the time being, or in fact just delay you, it seems. It looks like everybody's actually just going towards the lane, ignoring Hyde for the moment. Troublemaker is a troublesome ability to actually get away from, so just wasting his time is just what Max Green's doing at the moment.
Yeah, pressure in the lane from Tribe. I'm surprised they're not collapsing on this. I think oh, there's the collapse.
Oh, there's the collapse. Goes straight in for the ultimate. There's the acro bounce as well. The 3-ring circus should just be able to finish this one off. Hyde, again, wrong place, wrong time. Has got Troublemaker, so he is a little bit safe, but not after T-Tigers is done with him. Another acro bounce will finish off the kill, and that's a 4th kill now on the ball for the Monkey. And meanwhile, Dienzio just takes out Playboy Afro in the lane, and Gatsby in a lot of trouble, has to pop that flask yet again to stay alive on the brink of death.
Yeah, and this is just Tempo very much out of sync with each other. They don't seem to be able to show up, in the same places at the same time. I think that there's just a small issue from Playboy Afro having to be in the lane so much. It's set Hyde behind. We've seen how much damage that Areza can do when he does manage to get online. He does have his Aftershock now. But again, the fact that he had to build towards the Storm Crown just a little bit, just to get that initial bit of extra damage to help himself clear, I think it really set Tempo behind, and they've been kind of forced to run around in circles as Hyde looks for farm and looks for better positioning. The members of Tribe are moving as kind of a good collective. They've been able to set up pressure in the lane. T-Tigers has pretty much had free reign over, any kind of positioning he wants in the jungle and just outputting massive damage.
And what's scary as well, to add on top of that, Dienzio is the target they want to get on top of. Hyde and Gatsby want to be able to dive the backline. This is what their comp seemingly wants to do. Troublemaker in, you've got Netherform as well to dodge an ability and just deal massive damage to this very squishy Kestrel. But she's saying, yeah, come at me, bro, just like this right now. Impale does get blocked, pops into stealth, is going to get the stun on Playboy Afro, has to pop the fountain to get away, but Gatsby's in the front line still with that Rose offensive. It takes one too many glimmer shots, decides to use the boots to get away for the time being. And again, Tribe just assert their dominance in the lane.
That was a much better showing from Tempo, at least in terms of that 2v2. Hyde had gone off into the enemy jungle, once again, looking to find as much farm as he can to just change the pace of where T-Tigers is on the map and force him to kind of chase him around, following the trail of minion camps. But the 2v2 looked good, and we started to see Gatsby output some significant damage. He doesn't have his breaking point yet, but he did manage to take Dienzio very low. So if they can find that dive teamfight like you're talking about, and Hyde is actually there to follow up, we saw that Dienzio almost got brought down. Max Green's healing wasn't enough to keep him alive. Hyde should be able to help them finish the job. I just don't know if Tribe is going to let them find that teamfight, and Tempo just doesn't seem to want to look for such a play.
Well, we know Tempo have just had such a rough season. They're sitting at 0 points right now and do really need a miracle to get out of the challenge battles position. And I thought Tribe might be their opportunity to do so. That damage, by the way, Hyde, see you later, mate. Although he does use that Netform detonation, but T-Tigers is going to be there. One shot, one kill, doesn't quite find it, but the last basic attack from T-Tigers will finish him off. Dienzio going fairly low, but the active camo strap stun does stun up 2 members. Gatsby just sustaining throughout the entire fight. This could be his way in, but now split up from his captain. He's all alone, and he's all but dead. Dienzio picks him off, and that'll be a gold miner over to Tribe.
Yeah, and that was the possible
Immense
team fight
gold
turn. You've got
payout
Gatsby with
collected.
his breaking point and his Serpent's Mask. That was him at a solid power spike for them to be able to finally start to win a fight and get some momentum in their favor, but Tribe is able to split them up, and I think Hyde is just diving a little bit too deep. He doesn't have the burst damage to be that more or less a 1v1 assassin or better yet, just this endless duelist who can output significant damage and sustain himself. He just isn't there in terms of the damage yet because of the Stormguard banner, and so T-Tigers is just destroying them in fights and just so much damage on the Gatsby.
Yeah, the turret goes instantly down as soon as Dienzio does look at it. Now Tribe are going to try and make their exit ASAP. Now, Playboy Afro, he really has to come up with something big here. He's got that Crucible online to kind of help subvert a bit of that damage that T-Tiger zap pudding. But he's on 2 items right now. And then Hyde, his counterpart, he's on 1.5 with that Storm Crown. He's already dead. Playboy Afro falls, and now Gatsby's all alone. Might have a Serpent's Mask, but he can't just subvert all that damage if he's not doing damage back. Another Glimmer Shot will finish off the kill. Dienzio picks up a double, and Hyde only can manage a few back camps of Tribe's jungle.
Yeah, it will again get him closer to that second item. I'm not sure what the second item is going to be. He's got Stormguard banner, he's got the level 2 shielding, he's got the heavy prism, and he's now built armor. So he's sold his healing class to build armor. He's just kind of trying to piece together enough survivability to just stay in the fights, but T-Tigers is bursting, Dienzio is bursting, and that's a great stealth by Dienzio, and a lot of damage on the Playboy Afro.
Sneaky. Does get stunned though, as Playboy Afro did hit a Githian wall. Nether Form was used also. Max Green is going to pop those war treads. Meanwhile, T-Tiger's in the backline already, but Gatsby, he set his eyes straight on Dienzio. They're going to finally find the 2v1 they want. They're going to cut him up. There's the first kill on the board for him. And at least T-Tiger's now the only one left alive. Does manage to block the Githian wall for the time being. Impale does land, and that'll be an ace for Tempo.
Perfect play by Playboy Afro to draw away T-Tigers. There is enough damage, primarily coming out of Gatsby. I think that Hyde was able to kind of supplement that, maybe, get that finishing amount of damage on Dienzio, break through the healing of Max Green. So they finally kind of found the fight they were looking for, but a lot of that's off the back of Gatsby just being able to output massive damage. If he gets shut down, or at least T-Tigers and Dienzio are able to focus him significantly, I don't know if that fight keeps going in their favor, because there is a reasonable gold difference at about 6k. Those are some significant items. Dienzio is on double Tyrant's Monocle, plus the Sorrow Blade, so his damage there, he's got the full crit, and Hyde, he's caught out again.
Hyde is in Tribe's jungle when none of his team are around. Hyde's already at half HP. Does use the dash to get over the wall. Troublemaker for savior for the time being. T-Tiger's looking for an entrance into the fight. Bangarang is used. It's going to get blocked by the Crucible. Now Tempo Storm still on the run. They've got a lot of mobility, remember, and they're going to have to play around it. Crystal Sentry has joined the fight as well. Beautiful Githian warn T-Tiger's speed. Doesn't seem to get that 4 or 5 HP. Surviving him throughout the entire fight. Fountains used from Tribe as well. Those Glimmer Shots are raining through, and it looks like Tempo just want to be able to back off right now. They are half HP, and Tribe, they're just going to kick the rest of the jungle right under their noses.
If I were Tempo, I'd be happy. You sacrifice a Crystal Sentry for just getting out alive. Hyde was in so much trouble with that position. Not to mention the fact that he Netherform detonated at the start of that, so you don't even have that for the initial burst, as well as the continuous damage you get off of the passive resetting. So, I mean, they have the damage to kill Dienzio, they might have the damage to kill T-Tigers, but Tempo is just constantly either being outmaneuvered, or Hyde is looking for plays that the rest of the team can't follow up onto. And they just need to let Playboy Afro set things up, and I mean, this could be a decent positioning for them if they can land a good impale.
It is, but they're not giving him the opportunity to. That's the big thing. Tribe are just stepping out from this mustache brush and just happy to step back in as well, because they've got that sigil speed up for the group collective escape. Now Tribe, they're still in dominant control in terms of vision as well. That's something else we got to kind of keep in mind, because there's only 2 turrets now left for Tempo. It's going to be a lot easier for Tribe to get very, very deep scout traps in order to spot Tempo's movements every step of the way.
Okay, so triple Tyrant's Monocle for Dienzio. It's gone full crit, which, under the circumstances, he's been able to output great damage and has had pretty good positioning, with the exception of pretty much the one time that I think he really got caught out in the mustache brush fight. He's done a pretty good job of staying alive. Max Green has done a good job of helping him reposition with the sigils, as well as the fact that he also has the war treads now. So they have that ability to move in and out of the fights. They can follow up, they can chase. Poke is in, and the fight is on.
Does land. Crucible is going to block it up, though, for the time being. Dienzio go and jump straight into stealth, but he's already dead. Gatsby does find the kill, and Max Green is going to be the next target. T-Tigers, a little bit too tanky for the time being. Got a triple three-ring circus. Gatsby now all alone. Hyde trying to back him up here, but the sigil speed up onto T-Guy, because should sentence him to death. does end up going down. That passageway through won't quite find High, gets the sneaky recall off. So they only trade at 1-for-1 for the time being. Again, more than happy for that if I was Tempo.
Yeah, Tempo needs as many kills as they can possibly get, even if it's just a 1-for-1. That builds some gold up, it gets them back in favor, it gets Gatsby towards... at this point, he might just go Tension Mode for the initial burst, I think, just because he's so close to finishing Dienzio on his own. That last fight, they managed to get off a little bit more damage from Hyde. Playboy Afro got off a good gifting wall to separate the team a little bit. So Tempo are not out of it just yet. But if the side of Tribe actually set up their poke, because that was not the greatest poke fight for them. They got engaged on, I think, a little earlier than they would have liked. They would have liked for Dienzio to be able to shower more Glimmer shots through the enemy team and get off a little bit more damage before the engagement through. They're actually their composition plays in a really weird spot. They need T-Tigers to be kind of setting up plays. They got those initial Bangarang kills towards the earlier portion of the game, and now Bangarang, it's much harder for them to get off. They've got the Crucible. There's an Aegis on Gatsby. Eventually Hyde will catch up to that and build himself an Aegis, so there's going to be a lot of reflex blocks to stop it. But it does at least bait out one of those activatable items. So depending on how T-Tiger sets up fights, Tribe are kind of on a 50-50. They might want to poke. They also might, let the hard engage. Max Screen can also set things up. Tempo, on the other hand, they just need to dive. They can't give Tribe the time to set things up.
Tribe is setting things up right now around this Kraken. You can see the amount of scout traps they have got down just to spot out Tempo Storm wherever they may lie. But Tempo Storm, they have been finding the kills onto Dienzio. He's the majority of the team's deaths right now, and Gatsby sitting at 4 kills as well is standing out once again. And throughout the weeks, in fact, Source, he's been the standout performer on Tempo, and he's really stepping up to the plate right now. And if he can stay alive in these fights long enough, that breaking point is going to stack up, and he's going to be able to erase T-Tigers. This is a very aggressive move from Tempo, though. Tribe even, they are just starting up this Kraken, but it goes down so quickly with Dienzio's damage. Hyde moving forwards, but they might not just be able to stop this for the time being, although Bangarang is going to get used. Then the form detonation just to get out of the initial burst damage, but there you go, Gatsby on the backline yet again, but the Bangarang, is the sustain enough? Sigil comes through onto 3 members of Tribe, and a beautiful active camo stun will land. Rose offensive straight into Dienzio, just annihilates him. 1-1 kill will find Playboy Afro. Does he use the Impale over wall, but the Monkey's going to follow him for the time being. T-Tigers, he's going to find the 3-ring circus and the kill if Boy Afro's not careful. So let's use the combat roll again, but that passageway will find him in the end. Tribe take 2, and now they're just going to finish off the Kraken.
That was a great amount of pressure put on the High. They start the Kraken, they start poking, start drawing in the members of Tempo, but because they forced the Netherform detonation out of Hyde, and you had to literally go 2 screens off away from the fight, they were able to then isolate Gatsby back in and slow down the fight. If it had been an instant re-engage from the side of Tempo, then there isn't as much time for T-Tigers to build up his Dragon's Eye. There isn't as much, they don't have to deal with the fact that Gatsby has extra breaking point stacks, and he has gone with the Tension Bow for the initial burst. Because they separate that fight and slow it down, T-Tigers gets to build up damage, and Gatsby doesn't. And because you have those 2 stacking items in play, the longer the fights go, the better it is for the side of Tempo. T-Tigers, his damage comes in waves. He's not going to be able to stack up endlessly. Gatsby can. And Tribe are doing a really good job of just separating the members of Tempo and never really allowing them to have a solid team fight.
Playboy Afro down to half HP. They're going to just engage onto Gatsby for the time being. Their form detonation will miss Dienzio, but he is completely isolated right now. Passageway to get Max Green out of safety, but he didn't save his carry. Dienzio pops it into stealth for the time being. Bangarang is going to get used on the backline. He's just trying to distract them from the Kraken, who's just destroying their base. 2 turrets already down, and Impale does land to Dienzio. He's going to be the focus, but Playboy Afro's already dead. Evasive attack will finish him off, and they finally kill him, but it's already too late. The crystal goes down, and Tribe take game number 1.
A great set of just consistent pressure coming out from Tribe. Tempo, they started to show some life towards the later end of that game, so maybe they do better if they can kind of consult themselves in the early